In this video, we're going to be covering how to upgrade Mercury firmware manually using the Mercury controller's web interface. So the first thing we're doing is we're looking inside of ACM to verify the firmware version of the panel itself. So I'm currently working with an LP2500 that's using version 1.27.5 of the firmware, and we're going to need a manual change of this firmware up to 1.27.8. So we're going to, from here, navigate over to the Avigilon Partner Resource Center, and under software, firmware OEM, or you can use this URL up here in the bar. And we're going to download the panel firmware that applies to the controllers on our system. So in this case, it's going to be an LP2500. So I'm going to download this firmware. It's going to locate it in a We're going to locate it in a drive here on my system. Okay, and you should be left with a .crc file for your firmware. From here, we're going to navigate over to the controller itself. So this is the address of the Mercury controller. We're going to log in. In this case, my controller already has a predefined user. If your controller does not have a predefined user, you will need to use the default admin credentials along with turning on dip switch number 1 to log into the LP controller. So once I've logged in, I'm going to navigate down here to diagnostic, and you'll see I can specify a firmware to upload. So we're going to go locate our file. Here's our LP2500 CRC file. We're going to open that. We'll now click load file, and this will upload and then send the firmware to the controller. You'll see I got a status of installing the firmware. If we navigate back over here to ACM, we can see that the panel has now gone offline as the firmware is being uploaded and the controller is being upgraded. Okay, firmware package was successfully installed. Kind of monitor ACM here to wait for the panel to come back online. Now that the panel is back online, we can see that the firmware has been upgraded to 1.27.8 and all of our devices are currently working.